Azkaban's origins. Azkaban was not originally built as a prison. It began as a fortress in the North Sea, hidden by powerful enchantments and unplottable on any map. The island itself was discovered sometime before the 15th century, but its origins are mysterious. It is not listed on any known records until much later, and most historians believe it was created or claimed by a dark wizard who used advanced concealment and protective magic to keep it hidden. The fortress was first inhabited by a wizard named Ecrizdis. He was a practitioner of dark arts and lived in secrecy, using the isolation of the island to conduct inhumane magical experiments. Ecrizdis is believed to have captured, tortured, and killed Muggle sailors, drawing on their suffering to fuel his magical power. He created magical defenses around the island so effective that not even the Ministry of Magic was aware of its existence at the time. After Ecrizdis' death, the enchantments he cast began to weaken. The Ministry eventually discovered the island, and officials who visited it reported the presence of shadowy, soul-draining creatures lingering there. These beings were later identified as Dementors. It is believed that Ecrizdis either created or attracted these entities through his extensive use of dark, emotionally destructive magic. Azkaban as a prison. After the discovery of Azkaban and the Dementors left behind by Ecrizdis, the Ministry of Magic faced a difficult decision. Despite the dark history of the island and the malevolent presence of the Dementors, the Ministry chose to repurpose Azkaban as a prison in the 15th century. The key reason for this decision was practicality. The island's isolation, enchantments, and the Dementors' ability to keep prisoners subdued made it an ideal location for containment. Azkaban's official use as a prison began under the direction of Damocles Roll, then Minister for Magic, who believed the island's existing conditions would deter and neutralize prisoners without the need for expensive infrastructure. Although some members of the wizarding community objected, pointing to the psychological torment the Dementors inflicted, successive administrations kept the prison operational, citing its effectiveness and low escape rates. The Dementors became the unofficial guards of Azkaban. Their presence alone kept prisoners in a state of despair and hopelessness. Most inmates experienced extreme mental deterioration due to the creature's ability to drain happiness and stir their worst memories. There were no rehabilitation programs or humane treatment initiatives. The prison's sole purpose was to isolate and break offenders, especially those convicted of serious magical crimes such as murder, dark magic, or treason against the Ministry. Over time, Azkaban developed a reputation as a place from which no one escaped and few returned sane. It became a deterrent by design, both for wizards and witches who feared incarceration and for the broader society that wanted to keep dangerous magical individuals out of reach. The Dementors' role. Dementors are non-human, dark creatures that feed on human happiness. They induce feelings of despair, fear, and hopelessness in those nearby, and their most feared ability is the Dementor's kiss, a process by which they suck out a person's soul, leaving the body alive but empty. This is a fate considered worse than death in the wizarding world. In Azkaban, Dementors were not simply present. They were essential to the prison's functioning. The Ministry of Magic allowed them to guard the island in exchange for allowing them to feed off the despair of the inmates. This created a mutually beneficial, though ethically questionable, arrangement. The prisoners' constant misery sustained the Dementors, and in turn, the Dementors enforced a level of control and compliance that no human guards could match. Dementors do not understand language, morality, or authority in the traditional sense. They are drawn to areas of suffering and emotion. Azkaban, full of fearful and broken prisoners, was an ideal environment. The creatures patrolled the grounds, responded to disturbances, and served as a near impenetrable deterrent to escape. Importantly, the Ministry never truly controlled the Dementors. They cooperated with the government out of self-interest, not loyalty. This lack of control became a significant issue during times of political instability. During the First and Second Wizarding Wars, the Dementors defected to Voldemort's side. He offered them more victims and no restrictions, and they abandoned their post at Azkaban to support the Death Eaters. This demonstrated the inherent risk of relying on dark creatures for institutional purposes. The Ministry had made itself dependent on beings whose allegiance could not be guaranteed, and whose motivations were purely predatory. Later developments. After the Second Wizarding War and the final defeat of Voldemort, the British Ministry of Magic underwent significant reforms under the leadership of Minister Kingsley Shacklebolt. One of the most critical changes involved Azkaban and its use of Dementors. The war had made it clear that Dementors were not only unreliable as guards, but also dangerous to society as a whole. Their alliance with Voldemort exposed the flaw in the Ministry's long-standing dependence on them. In response, the Ministry began the process of removing Dementors from Azkaban entirely. This was a gradual effort, as there was no quick replacement for the creatures that had enforced compliance through psychological destruction. The transition involved deploying trained Aurors and other Ministry personnel to take over security operations, while new protocols for imprisonment and containment were established. Inmates continued to be housed on the island, but the prison's structure and management were overhauled. There was a growing emphasis on humane treatment, mental health evaluations, and proper legal processes. Some magical rights groups pushed for the complete decommissioning of Azkaban, arguing that the island's history and lingering darkness made it unfit for any correctional use. However, the Ministry chose instead to reform rather than dismantle it. By the late 1990s and early 2000s, Dementors were officially no longer used by the Ministry of Magic in any capacity. Their presence was banned, and they were designated as dangerous creatures to be repelled, not employed. The Patronus charm, one of the only known defenses against Dementors, became a central part of Auror training in case of encounters with rogue Dementor groups still roaming certain areas. Though Azkaban remains in use as a prison facility, its reliance on Dementors is a closed chapter. The magical community, having seen the consequences of aligning with such forces, adopted a more cautious and ethical stance toward incarceration and the treatment of magical criminals.
Mischief managed. Nox.